biggest South Asian media group, Ymedia.
Hello everyone, my name is Yutu Juthal. I'm the group editor at Ymedia. On behalf of Ymedia, we welcome you today at Ymedia Political Sensex. Ymedia Political Sensex, we will be discussing the by-election for Mississauga Mayor. We all know that the voting day is June 10th. If you haven't voted in advance polls, please do go out and vote. As far as the by-election is concerned, we know there are 20 candidates who have filled their names. As far as the election for mayor is concerned, of course, there is another election for Ward 5 as well. But we'll talk about the Mississauga mayoral by-election. And before we move ahead, I'd like to thank once again Mainstreet, because Ymedia Mainstreet poll survey, which we've been doing quite often. Once again, we have the numbers for you. So today, we're going to release the numbers, the latest Ymedia Mainstreet poll survey. So before I release the numbers, I'll explain the methodology that we used for doing this survey. So this methodology was led by Mainstreet. We'd like to thank Quito Maggie, we'd like to thank Robert and their entire team members at Mainstreet. Mainstreet is one of the leading poll survey companies, not only in just Canada, but also it's expanding in US and other parts of the world as well. So let's have a look at the full screen, if I may show you the methodology that we used. So this is the methodology that we used for the survey. So what you're watching on your screen is, because we have to highlight the date when the survey was done, it's very important that we tell you the date. It was Thursday, May 16th to Friday, May 17, 2024, when the survey was done. Sample size, 1,036 adults 18 years or older living in Mississauga. Method used, automated telephone interviews, smart IVR, margin of error, it's very important to mention that, plus or minus 3% at 95% confidence level. Margin of errors are higher in each sub-sample. So here we are. So let's see what the results we have, and then I'll definitely have Robert. He will also join us very soon. But let's have a look at the results for Ymedia Mainstreet poll survey for Mississauga mayoral by-election. So if the voting was held today, these are the voter intentions. We want to once again tell you, these are not the final poll numbers, but these are merely the poll survey. So if I could put this on full screen for you, these are the numbers that you see. So if you look at the numbers very closely, Carolyn Parish, she is still leading. So at 17.8%, Carolyn Parish leads. At 13.8%, Deepika Damrela, she's second. Stephen Dasco at 11.1%, he's third. Alvin Tadjo with 8.3%, he's at number 4. And others, they get 5.6%. So this is all voters. Once again, I'd like to tell you, undecided voters, as you see at the bottom of your screen, is 43.4%. And at this point, I have Robert with me from Mainstreet. Robert, a very warm welcome on Ymedia. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you? Thank you for having me tonight.
You are very welcome. Robert, you know, we've done poll surveys previously as well. Now here again, we're doing this poll survey. We've done poll surveys for voting intentions at the federal level, provincial level, municipal level. We've done a poll survey previously as well for this Mississauga mayoral by-election. I know Peter McCallum was there in that previous poll survey, but Peter McCallum is not anymore in the race. He's moved out. But now, if you look at this, all voters, let's talk about all voters first. 17.8, and Deepika Damrela, she's not far too behind. What are your comments on this latest poll survey?
Yeah, and it's really important to start with the all voters one, right? So just as when we ask the question, right, when we're doing the poll, we ask people who are you going to vote for, right? That's obviously the first question. And it's important to note that it has gotten a lot tighter since the last time we've done this. And that's a factor of a couple of things. One, as the campaign goes on and on, I mean, the campaigns contact more and more people. They build a list of supporters. And also people are more tuned into the election than they were before, right? I think we did the last one for the Mississauga mayoral race, I think about a month or two ago. We're only a few weeks out from the election. So obviously there's not much more time left for people to make up their minds. And you definitely see that, right? You definitely see that undecided number has shrunk significantly from the first time, especially in the older age group. In the younger age group, as you can see in the crosstabs, that number is still higher. But especially in the more older, or specifically the more likely to vote groups, that undecided number has shrunk significantly. And you're looking at a relatively competitive race there between Carolyn Parrish and Deepika. So it's shaping up to be a relatively interesting night in a few weeks.
Yeah, and I think so too. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting night. Once again, we'd like to remind all our viewers that yes, we will be covering the election night right here on YPLUS and Channel Y. In case you want to watch Channel Y anywhere in Canada, you can watch us at Rogers 857, Bell 828, Telus 2418, Ignite 707. In case you don't have cable, no worries, you can watch us at YPLUS. YPLUS, to watch YPLUS, it's an all English 24/7 channel. It's a digital channel, YPLUS. You can download our app, Ymedia. Go on the App Store, download our app, Ymedia, and you can watch live coverage on your phone, on your iPad, on your laptop, or wherever you are. As long as you have a phone or iPad, computer, desktop, you're connected with the internet, you can watch us live. I once again repeat, download app Ymedia, and there is Channel Y. You can watch it in Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu, and English. There is YPLUS. YPLUS is 24/7 all English. So you can watch any of these channels. And on election night, we will be covering on both the channels. YPLUS will be doing the English language coverage, and Channel Y will be doing it in Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu, and of course, he'll be doing it in English as well. Robert, you see things are getting interesting. Do you think we can see a close finish between Deepika Damrela and Carolyn Parrish, or you think more or less it'll stay the same? What's your take on this?
I mean, usually in races like this, especially municipal races, they generally tend to break one way towards the end. I'm reminded of the Toronto mayoral race just last year, in which at this point Olivia Chow had a relatively large lead over everybody, and I think it was about 1 to 2 weeks out. Obviously, John Tory endorsed, and that race got a lot closer, right? So obviously I'm not saying there's any sort of endorsement here, but I'm saying that races like this tend to have, they tend to break one way or another relative close down the stretch. And I mean, although that's not saying that the race won't be close, it can be very close. But at this point, though, like, there's things that could make the race break more towards Carolyn Parrish. There's things that could make the race break more the other way. So it's going to be it could be a very competitive race, but you could see one candidate just kind of pull away. Looking at the data, Parrish leads. She led in the last poll, and she's also leading in this poll. But there's definitely basically there seems to be a substantial amount of people in Mississauga who maybe want an alternative, and they, at this point at least, they seem to be coalescing behind Deepika Damrela. So that's important to note, and as you see this, maybe there is some momentum to make this a very competitive race down the stretch.
Yeah, and if I could now bring up the graph which shows this is all voters, but if we only look at the decided voters, so yeah, so let's bring up the graph of decided voters on full screen now. And let's look at the percentages. So if you look at the graph, where do we stand? The decided one, 32% for if you have a look at Carolyn Parrish. Yeah, yeah. So Carolyn Parrish is at 32%. Deepika Damrela is at 23.3%. Stephen Dasco is at 19.2%. Alvin Tadjo is at 15.1%, and others are at 10.4%. So this is for the decided voters. If you look at the, Robert, I want you to explain just for the benefit of our audience. If you look at the decided voters, the gap seems to be a little bit more if you look at the all voters. Why is that? And if you could explain the difference as well, please.
Yeah, for sure. So the thing is, when we so obviously I explained earlier that we do the first question. We ask who are you voting for. We list the candidates and someone else, obviously, and then undecided. So then of the people who are undecided, we then ask them, okay, so you're undecided, which candidate are you leaning towards? And we list the same candidates again. We also list someone else as an option. and then we allow them to pick another option of continue to be undecided. So it means like, I don't know who I'm voting for, and then you ask me again, I still don't know who I'm voting for, right? So when you go from the first step to the second step, anybody who is undecided and they pick. So say for example, I'm surveyed and say I say I'm undecided, and we ask the second question, and then I say, oh, you know what, I'm leaning towards Carolyn Parrish. Okay. So then in the decided question, I would show up as a Carolyn Parrish supporter. But say I said undecided, and then I said, oh, I'm undecided again, then in that last question, we remove all those voters that said they were undecided and undecided. So what happens is when you remove, it's kind of like a pie. When you remove slices from the pie, the overall pie gets smaller, and that's why that lead expands. So although, like, physically, mathematically, it's not a large lead, when you take out all the undecided voters from that pie, the overall pie gets smaller, and then as a percentage, Carolyn Parrish has a bigger percentage of that smaller pie. But this is the key point, right? So although the decided vote is obviously important, right, because it means that there are more leaners leaning towards Parrish, and I mean, obviously, Dipika picks up some of them as well, but there's it's not as much as Parrish. But it also shows that although that large chunk of undecideds, whichever way they break, they could very easily decide the election in 2 weeks.
Okay, and just for our viewers' benefit, I'd like to tell you that Ymedia has conducted debates, Ymedia debates. So at Ymedia Political Sensex, when we did the Ymedia debates, different candidates did show up, few of them didn't. But yeah, we did have debates with quite a few candidates here. We are going to broadcast that on YPLUS and also on Channel Y. Both the channels we will be broadcasting that. The issues that came up, one of the major issues is definitely housing, which is an issue not only in Mississauga, it's on GTA, it's across Canada. So we discussed solutions or what the new mayor could offer as far as housing in Mississauga is concerned. We also discussed affordability. Affordability is definitely a very important issue right across Canada, and so is it in Mississauga as well. The third issue that we discussed was crime. Then we also discussed leadership, because it's very important that yes, accountability, leadership. We also discussed transit, because there's a lot of discussion around LRT, there's a lot of discussion on the bike lanes, then Highway 413. Traffic congestion is very important, especially in big cities here in GTA in particular. And we also discussed that how do we make sure that we have people from all across the globe in GTA, in Mississauga also. So the new mayor will definitely have all these challenges ahead. Robert, do you think any particular issue has stood out? I know housing, affordability, crime, transit, these are very important issues. But if you had to pick one or maybe a couple of them, what stands out for you?
Yeah, I would say that it has to be housing for me. I think kind of housing and property taxes are probably the biggest issues when you look at municipal politics. Obviously, affordability is a big issue, of course. Everybody, when we go to the grocery store, we see that bill. But I don't think anybody particularly expects their mayor to go to a Loblaws and start putting stickers on things, right? So I think obviously the more important issue is in terms of housing. And that also cuts both ways, right? You have a lot of people who say, we should have more housing, right? We should build as much housing as possible. We should be building more condo towers. We should be building more townhouses, detached houses, etc. But you also have other people who say, you know what, I don't want a big condo tower anywhere near me. I don't want a condo tower in my backyard. I don't want a condo tower a couple streets over, right? So there is, it kind of cuts both ways, and it also cuts the other way in terms of property taxes, right? No one wants to pay. No one particularly wants to pay more in property taxes, right? So when you have candidates coming out there and saying, I'm going to hold property taxes lower or below the rate of inflation, that really appeals to voters, particularly property owners. But when you're looking at renters, if you say, I'm going to build more housing, I'm going to build you the home that you can buy, that appeals more to them. And unfortunately, for the renters at least, generally they don't turn out in municipal elections. You could see it in our cross-test. We asked if you had voted before in the past, And if you hadn't, and you could see that prevalence in there as well, and even in the decided and leaning process, right? The voting group that said they were the most undecided, the ones that had less, that basically when you do the process you described before, when you go from all voters to the decided voters, the group that's eliminated by that process, by the process of removing the voters who are undecided and then not leaning towards a candidate, you remove a lot of voters under the age of 50. And generally in municipal elections, they just generally don't vote. They really struggle to get that turnout. And I think whether or not they can turn out and vote for that pro-housing vote, the pro-housing candidate, that can really swing an election either way.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. I think you made some very good points. And housing, there are approximately 2.5 dozen cranes there in Mississauga. I don't have the exact number, but I guess around 32 cranes, 32 buildings are being built. But the question is, how many of them are affordable housing? That's a big question. But then, obviously, we need housing there, and affordability is eroding, especially with the interest rates being high for quite some time. This hasn't happened in almost 2 decades that we don't have 5% as overnight lending rate. That has certainly hit the budget of many Canadians, including people living in Mississauga as well. So affordability, then transit, I think it's again another part of the puzzle. There is LRT, they're talking about bike lanes as well. There's discussion about 413. It doesn't impact many other cities. So every city has an opinion. Milton, Oakville, Mississauga, Brampton, Vaughan. But the Ford government, they've already said that. They're going ahead full steam with Highway 413. So let's see if traffic and congestion, these issues can be solved. One thing more I wanted to touch upon as during the discussion that came out was healthcare as well. And then there are people who are homeless, there are people in shelter, and we all know the food bank system or many other things that are already at a stretch. So these topics also came up during the discussion. I had very interesting discussions. YMedia debates. We brought in the candidates, so we're going to broadcast here. I'll highly recommend everyone, please do watch all the debates. You'll definitely get to know, we can learn a lot about Mississauga and how the candidates position themselves on various issues. Robert from Mainstreet, thank you so much. We really appreciate Robert and you and your entire team. Anything else you quickly want to add before I let you go? Please do so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting race. I mean, when you think back to the most recent municipal by-election we had, obviously Toronto, it looked like a kind of uninteresting race. I mean, Olivia Chow had a 20-point lead, depending on the poll, for quite a while in there. This one's a lot more competitive. And it's very interesting, and I'm always up for a good competitive election. So yeah, I'm happy to be part of this, and yeah, I'm sure we'll be in the field again before election day, and I'm fascinated to see how vote intention might change over the last couple of weeks here.
Yes, I'm quite interested in that as well. Once again, we'd like to remind you we're going to have one more poll survey before we head towards the final election day. That's 10th of June. Please do go out and vote. But YMedia Mainstreet poll survey will be showing you the numbers once again. The race seems to be getting a little bit tighter between the front runner, that's Carolyn Parrish and Deepika Dharmela. Stephen Dasco is not too far behind. Alvin Tedjo is also there. But it's getting really interesting, and we'll keep you posted on this one. So wait for our new numbers as well. Till then, these are the numbers that we have currently for you. And also, as I told you earlier, mark your calendars, 10th June, who will be the mayor for Mississauga? Will have an answer for you on election night. So Robert, Quito, and their Mainstreet team will be here. We have panel members here. And as host, I will be hosting that show. Robert, thank you so much. You guys do an amazing job. We wish you all the best. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too. You too. Take care. Bye for now. Bye for now. And that's all we have today for you. So stay tuned with YMedia. Once again, I'd like to tell you, in case you have Rogers at home, it's channel-wise available on Rogers 857, Bell 828, Telus 2418, and on Ignite 707. In case you don't have cable at home, no worries. You can watch us on app. Download our app. Go on App Store, YMedia. Download on your phone, on your iPad, on your laptop. It's absolutely free, 24/7 streaming. So if you want to watch in English, YPLUS. It's a 24/7 all English channel, YPLUS. It keeps you updated with all the news from Canada, international news from GTA. If you want to watch in Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu and English, then you can watch on Channel Y. But both these channels are available on our app, Ymedia. Not these two channels. There's Radio Y running 24/7. And please do not forget to pick a copy of Midweek newspaper. The only free English newspaper right across GTA in Mississauga, in Brampton, in Toronto, in Vaughan, right across GTA, Midweek newspaper. Thank you so much. Stay tuned with Ymedia.
The biggest South Asian media group, Ymedia.